Welcome back. In this video, we will be diving into vector databases. So we'll understand what is unstructured data, what are vectors, why are they powerful, what are vector databases, how do vector databases store data, why do vector databases index data, vector database indexing techniques, how does vector database search work, approximate nearest neighbor search, types of search mechanisms in vector databases, talk about some of the popular vector databases, and wrap up with a discussion on how you can access vector databases in LangChain. So what is unstructured data? Typically, any kind of data related to images, text, audio, video is unstructured data. And usually, most of the data in enterprises is unstructured data, which has a lot of untapped and useful insights. Now, what are vectors? So mathematically, a vector is basically represented as a list of numbers. And these numbers encode the meaning of an entity. So in 2 dimensions, you have 2 numbers, 3 dimensions, 3 numbers, 8 dimensions, 8 numbers, and so on. So basically, an n-dimensional space can be represented with a vector of n numbers. So a vector of n numbers would be a point in that n-dimensional space. Now, why are vectors powerful? So vectors are a great way to represent the semantic meaning of that entity being a word, a document chunk, and so on. So let's say if you have a sentence here, I'm a big fan of Tom and Jerry, you pass it through an embedding model, which is basically a deep learning language model behind the scenes, and it will convert it into a vector, which is basically an n-dimensional list of numbers. And that can be represented as a point in an n-dimensional space. So if you look at this figure here, apple and banana are vectors which are closer to each other if you want to compute the distance using, let's say, cosine similarity, which we talked about in the previous videos. So the distance is small. Similarity is large between these two. Similarly, the distance between cat and kitten are small. However, let's say the distance between cat and apple are quite large. So in that way, similar entities will end up having embeddings, which are also similar to each other. Hence, the distance between them will be smaller. The similarity between them will be larger. So what are vector databases? Vector databases are basically databases to store vector embeddings. It stores data as vector embeddings and enables effortless searching of high-dimensional data with ultra-low latency, which means you can get results really fast whenever you're querying for documents which are related to your question. And it's ideal for any kind of a data or AI-driven applications. So how do vector databases store data? Typically, any kind of unstructured data like documents, images, audio, video, you pass it through a relevant embedding model, which has already been trained on a large amount of similar data. It will convert the data into an embedding, which is basically a vector of numbers, and then that is stored in the vector database so that in the future you can do similarity search and find out similar documents, images, audio, video related to your question. So why do vector databases index data? Just like in a regular database, like let's say a relational SQL database where you can index data so that you can retrieve results based on SQL queries really fast, same thing here. You index data in vector databases to create a map or a guide pointing to where each vector is located on the list. And it's a complex but a very essential process enabling more efficient storage, search, and retrieval of vector data. So the whole idea here is to index the data beforehand to use efficient data structures to store these document chunks and their relevant embeddings so that you can enable really fast lookups in the future in terms of embedding similarity. What kind of indexing techniques are there in vector databases? So the vectors in a vector database are typically indexed using a variety of algorithms for faster searches. Some of the popular algorithms include locality-sensitive hashing, LSH, hierarchical navigable small world, HNSW, annoy, approximate nearest neighbors. Oh yeah, this is from Spotify. So there are a variety of such indexing algorithms which could be used so that you can do fast nearest neighbor search. And these are all the popular vector databases out there. And here we talk about some of the indexing techniques which are available. And many of them have been updated with other techniques also. And as time goes by, you will find some of these supporting even more indexing techniques. So we have Pinecone, then we have Qdrant, Chroma, Elasticsearch, Vespa, which supports a hybrid search also inbuilt. Then we have Weaviate, Vault, LanceDB, Redis. So Redis is primarily a caching system, but you can also use it as a vector database. And we also have PG Vector, which is a vector database capability now available in the relational PostgreSQL database. And finally, Milvus and Zilis, they also have relevant variety of indexing techniques available. So how does vector database search work? Typically, it uses approximate nearest neighbors instead of doing an exact k nearest neighbor search to retrieve the top k relevant documents which are similar to your input question. Okay, so the main difference between these two is in terms of an exact k nearest neighbor search, it is a direct computation of distance between your query embedding and the dataset embeddings, right? The embeddings for each and every document in your database. But for approximate nearest neighbors, it uses hashing techniques to efficiently find out similar points instead of computing distance between your question as well as every document one by one. So accuracy provides exact k nearest neighbors. Accuracy obviously will be much more in terms of relevant documents. Approximate nearest neighbors provides an approximate nearest neighbor. Scalability, this cannot scale. It is computationally expensive for large data sets. And it would even crash, let's say, if you were running it on millions of documents. Imagine you have a question and you have to find the similarity for question and document 1 embedding, then question and document 2 embedding, then question and document 3 embedding, and so on up to 1 million documents and the question, right, in terms of similarity. It will take forever as well as it might even crash. But if you were to do the same thing using approximate nearest neighbors, it will definitely be fast and give you the result in seconds. So it is scalable to large data sets. Computation cost does not increase linearly with dataset size. Dimensionality performance decreases as you have more dimensional vectors. Let's say you are using a 1024 dimensional embedding size and you switch it to 1536 from OpenAI, it will take much longer. But here it is efficient for high dimensional data. Performance does not significantly degrade. So you could use a variety of embedding models which produce small, large, or very large embedding vectors. So overall, vector databases uses approximate nearest neighbors so that it can scale the searches even up to millions and millions of documents and return results to you based on your question at lightning fast speed. What are the advantages as well as the applications of approximate nearest neighbor search? As I mentioned, approximate nearest neighbor search enables you to get results back really fast, even if you have millions of documents in your database, right, in terms of searches. And this is used for a variety of applications, as you can see. Like Google search uses approximate nearest neighbor search indexing to find images similar to a query image. When you drop an image in Google search to get back a result of similar images, behind the scenes, it is using approximate nearest neighbors. Even when you search regularly in Google and it returns the results so fast, it's using approximate nearest neighbor search behind the scenes. Spotify recommends songs that sound similar to a track you liked. Again, it's converting the audio into embeddings, finding out similar tracks based on similarity of embeddings, and returning the results to you. But it is not doing pairwise similarity of your song's embedding what you have listened to versus each and every song in Spotify's database. That'll take forever. It uses approximate nearest neighbors. Netflix also uses approximate nearest neighbors to recommend movies and TV shows similar to what you have watched. Amazon uses hierarchical clustering based on nearest neighbors to group products into different categories. So a lot of examples of real-world applications of approximate nearest neighbors. Types of search mechanisms in vector databases. There are a variety of search mechanisms. One could be just a simple keyword search where you don't really need a vector database. This is basically like classical NLP, where you convert your text into bag of words or TF-IDF of vectors, and you want to find out which documents are related to the question based on the occurrence of the same words. So keyword search, as the name suggests, is more keyword driven. It helps in finding relevant results when the user knows exactly what they're looking for in terms of keywords. So the user expects results in terms of documents that match exact phrases or words to their search query. So this does not require vector databases. It's not really embedding based similarity. You're just matching common words and then returning relevant documents. Semantic search is the nearest neighbor search, where the user does not know exactly what keywords they are looking for. They want to find out similar documents, not really in terms of common words or phrases, but in terms of meaning. So if I ask what is AI, I want to find out all the documents related to artificial intelligence, maybe machine learning, deep learning, and so on. I am not really searching for documents which have the exact words AI, what, and is. Okay. So that's the point of semantic search. It is more based on meaning, semantics, and it requires a vector database. And hybrid search is a combination of these where you can combine a full text keyword search and a vector search. Then you can even rank the results optionally using a cross-encoder model, which is also known as a re-ranker model. Okay, so we will see a re-ranker model in the project which we will be looking at towards the end of this module, as well as in our advanced RAG course. And this requires both a document database and a vector database, because the document database will store the keyword representations in terms of bag of words, and vector database will store the embeddings. So this is the overall architecture or the workflow diagram for keyword search. You basically have a question. You have a document database where you have stored the frequencies of the keywords in each and every document. You use an algorithm like BM25 or TF-IDF similarity and find out relevant documents where the keywords match to your question. Vector search, you convert your question into an embedding using a embedding model, typically a transformer-based model. And then in the vector database, you already have embeddings for every document. So you find out which documents are similar to your question based on embedding similarity. And hybrid search, you use a combination of both and optionally pass the results through a cross-encoder to find out the most relevant documents in terms of both keyword similarity and embedding similarity. Popular vector databases, so closed source include Zilliz and Pinecone. Milvus is the open source version of Zilliz, and all of these other databases. Popular ones include VV8, Qgrant, as well as Chroma. Elasticsearch has been there for quite a while, so all of these are open source and you can access them easily. This is the typical timeline for vector databases. Started off around 2017 Vespa and then came in VV8. You had Milvus and Zilliz around 2019. They really matured. 2021, we had Pinecone, Qgrant, Vault. 2022, Elasticsearch, which has been there for quite a while, but they introduced the vector capabilities around that time. And then you have Redis, Chroma, and then you have LanceDB, pgvector, which are the newest ones. So vector databases in LangChain, how do you do that? So LangChain supports API wrappers to connect to all popular vector databases, right? All the ones we discussed here. LangChain has wrappers to connect to them, integrates embedding models with vector databases so that the vector database can use the embedding model to convert documents into embeddings and then store that. And overall, vector databases allow users to create, query, or read, update, and delete documents and embeddings. So it just works like a database. In the next video, we will look at how to do some hands-on with vector databases. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.